Taunton is really well located in the southwest, being on the M5 corridor and on the very good access to London and the north by train particularly, and to the rest of the southwest in particular. So therefore it's a really good location for growth. The council is committed very much towards its growth agenda, and that has been the case for a number of years. Therefore the allocations that we've got in our local plan are ambitious and delivering a significant number of exciting and very large sites. The profile of Taunton has been raised to some degree by the designation of it as a garden town about 18 months ago. And with that comes expectations, not only in terms of the amount of development, and clearly part of the government's agenda around garden towns is about accelerating housing delivery, but also the garden town brand has with it very much a quality identity, and therefore there's a real need to bring forward the development in Taunton in terms of high quality, and that is a real challenge for us. Using the design review panel was the appropriate way to go forward for Taunton Deane, because we had these challenges on a number of key sites. We have some major town centre regeneration sites in Taunton. The town traditionally is rather faced away from the river in the centre, and so there's an opportunity to join some of these sites together along the riverfront, and the design review panel has helped us greatly in respect of that. The sites along the riverfront, generally a large proportion of them are in the control of the council, so we have a greater ability to influence what comes forward. So I suppose the Firepool site is an absolutely key site for Taunton. It sits between the railway station and the river in the town centre, and that certainly has been one where the process that we've gone through with the design review panel has been hugely helpful. I think it's difficult for councils when they have the two roles of landowner for a site and as local planning authority. And I think using the design review panel has helped that in many respects, because you've got what is truly an independent look at that site and how it should come forward. So the site ultimately went to planning committee with an officer recommendation of refusal, and it was really helpful to have those design review panel comments there, and the planning committee certainly gave great weight on the night in terms of those comments, and generally that's been across the board, that the members do take it on board as a material consideration in terms of any planning applications that come forward with a design review. What happened following the refusal of application was, I think, a much more positive engagement with the site promoters, and we had a workshop whereby we looked at what were the key issues of refusal and how to take those forward. And the good news is from that is we're now in a position where we have a resolution to grant planning permission for a scheme, and that hopefully within a few weeks we will have a outline planning permission in place. Who knows what will come forward from that scheme, but maybe there's a role for the design review panel at later stages. It's really important that it's a multidisciplinary panel to me. We don't have that expertise in-house. Like all local authorities, we have budget pressures, and the days of architects departments and technical services teams, etc. There aren't that many urban designers in-house in local authorities these days, and certainly when I was looking at getting involved with the design review panel, that was one of the key factors for me, that I had a budget. I didn't have enough budget to have all the staff that I would like in terms of bringing forward high quality development, and it seemed a good way of actually tapping into a wide range of expertise that we certainly couldn't afford if we were to provide it in-house. Yeah, the independence of the design review panel I think is really important. From a developer's point of view, the design review is really part of the pre-application process, and actually if they're paying for a service that is really just ratifying the views of the local authority, that doesn't really add any value for the developer. It doesn't really add any value for the local authority either. So I think we're able to encourage more people to use the design review panel on the basis that it is truly independent. Certainly with all the schemes that I've been involved with, I've never had any criticism that the panel is anything but independent from the local authority. Resources is an important consideration. Certainly before we engaged with the design review panel, I did look at some others around the country, and particularly in the southwest, and realised the resources taken from those that ran in-house panels was huge. There were people that were more or less working, had an officer working full-time on arranging the panels, etc. Well, clearly we haven't got the resource to do that. So from a financial point of view, it is clearly something that is very useful to us. When we signed up to use the panel, I did put a report to the full council, I think it was. It might even have been the executive, but anyway, to the council generally, on what we were doing and how we would deal with it. And part of the resolution that came out of that was a commitment from the council that the views of the design review panel would be considered as a material planning consideration and taken into account in all cases by the planning committee. So I think that's been really positive, and I can't think of a circumstance whereby the planning committee have gone down any route other than to support the views that have come forward. I think pre-app negotiations are good value for money anyway, in terms of de-risking the process. We do charge for pre-application advice, and clearly we charge via you for the design review panel. But in terms of the charge that you pay, not certainty, but as I've said before, that the likelihood that you're going to get that support from the planning committee is hugely valuable and financially valuable in terms of de-risking cases.